How about now? Can everybody hear me now? Give me some good feedback. Hopefully, you guys can hear this now. Woohoo! All right. That's what happens when you update a program before you go online and it resets all your settings and you spend the last several minutes scrambling to put it all together. So let's try this again. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Drill Room. As always, my name is Robert Johnson. I am the Bearded Beast. I'm also a national coach for Team Canada, an IPSIA certified driller, a USB-C silver certified coach working on his gold, a snappy dresser, and every once in a while a tournament boulder. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about this week. I recently competed in only my third tournament since moving over to two-handed. I have bowled quite a few tournaments beforehand, but this is the first time that I've been able to get out and actually compete. And I went to an event on Friday in Toronto, very large event, 150 bowlers. Managed to scratch out the win. So we're going to talk a little bit about what I did, some of my ball choices, some of my mental choices, and how they can help you guys out. We'll also be taking questions and such, because this show is about you, the bowler, where we help you answer your questions, talk about things that we've noticed, or just generally talk when we can. So, before I get into things, let me just see here. Let's see how our... Oh, there we go. I've got the chat open. And perfect. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight, and I appreciate you getting through the... I literally have a microphone right here. And for some reason, it just didn't want to hear it. Just didn't want to hear what was going on. But I digress. How has everyone's last few weeks been? It's been probably a month since we got together. Lots of things have happened in the bowling world. We've had Vapegate. We've had the marriage specialist, Dio Castillo. We've had some interesting finishes. We've had the return of the Iceman. There's been a lot of bowling stuff going on. We've had some new releases, including one that I really like. Sorry, I was reading one of the things here from Donald. I'm going to get your question in just a second there. One of the ones I really liked, the new Cypher Pearl, which was basically the Synergy Pearl from when I was younger. I really, really liked the ball. It was one of the first reactive balls that I had drilled for me, actually at a large event. I think, if I remember correctly, I bought it at Club 300 in Markham, which no longer exists. It's where the IOF Foresters was contested in the early 90s. And I really, really liked that ball. I was very, very happy with it then, very happy with it now. As I said in my review, it actually might replace my my dark side, which I really like. That motion is really, really... It's in my wheelhouse because of my low ball speed. Now, Donald asked, how do you like the Radical Torpedo Direct Hit? I'm going to answer that to tell you a little story. When that ball came out, I threw it and went, this is good. And ordered a case for myself. Within a week of selling that ball, or that ball being announced, I had sold two to the same person because of how good it was. Every person who has thrown that ball has been like, wow, this ball is way better than I expected. So the Torpedo Direct Hit is one of those balls that, for me as a two-hander, as well as a Rev Dominant player, it went directly into my bag. And we're going to actually talk about how important it was this weekend for me as well. Jaybird, I'm a no-thumb one-hander with a match speed revs. Does your book focus on only two-handers? Not at all. It's good for any person who doesn't use their thumb. So as long as you're only putting the 2, or I have seen now 3 fingers in the ball, You are fine. It's designed for anyone who is not using their thumb. We're actually going to update the title a little bit just so people understand that with the new version that we're working on. We're working on an update to uh, the, as we said, we have a one-handed book coming out. We're going to add some stuff to it, and we're going to add some stuff to the two-handed book. So that'll be coming down the line. How do you think tariffs are going to affect bowling ball prices? That's going to be an interesting one. As of right now, I know that it has pushed a lot of the pricing up for bowling equipment, pretty much 25%. However, I know that there are quite a few lawsuits going on, specifically from the gaming industry, which some companies are starting to jump on that manufacture stuff outside of the country because things were ordered prior to the tariffs and there wasn't enough time for things that were ordered pre-tariff to have been delivered. So, like there's a huge class action lawsuit going on with like board game publishers who have to order stuff out of China, who now have 150% charge that they have to pay on top of it when their stuff is showing up. And I've seen some sporting things starting to get involved with that. So we may, who knows if we'll see that affect bowling prices and bring them back down again. But for right now, I know that in Canada, we've already seen like a $5 increase on T-zones, like a $40 increase on things like tropical surges. Like the prices are starting to creep up because of where we gotta pay for it. Other countries are going to go through it as well, unfortunately. Until whatever happens with the tariffs and trade agreements and stuff, everybody's got to pay the piper. Nobody wants to talk politics, though. Let's get away from tariff stuff. Let's talk about some bowling. So, because this is probably what people want to hear about is stuff like that. Do you still throw an NV Tour? No. Let's get over to the bowling stuff. We'll talk a little bit about what I'm throwing right now. Because I got a little bit of a presentation. So I went to an event in Scarborough at Kennedy Bowl, which is probably one of my favorite places to bowl outside of my home center. Not that I've bowled there a lot. I just really like bowling there. It's a really well-run center, very friendly. The lanes are always well maintained. Just like from lane patterns to actually the equipment itself, it's a very well taken care of bowling center. So it was the Easter Friday holiday classic from KB. And in the past, they've had 100 to 125 plus bowlers. This time they got 150 bowlers out over 2 shifts. I decided, because I haven't competed a lot in the last few years, especially with my change to two-handed, I haven't really been confident enough to bowl a lot of tournaments. While I know I can throw good shots, I didn't know if I could actually get out there and compete with, the pressures, both mental and physical, the weighting, things like that. So I thought I would jump into a tournament that would be not easier for me to win, because I didn't actually think at all I was going to win it. It was more of someplace I could go and be comfortable, not have a lot of anxiety, not feel like I was trying to beat a whole bunch of people. I was just going to bowl. So we went down to it, and the people who run it, Tyler and Jen, and all the people who run those events, they also run the Ontario Players Tour, and they do an absolutely fantastic job with their tournaments. They were on the announcements worried that people were going to be angry because the lane machine might have put them 5 minutes behind. 5 minutes. When was the last time you bowled at a tournament that was only 5 minutes behind? Like, they really, really care about the bowling experience. And I went on first shift because I had not bowled a lot, so I wanted to bowl on some oil. It's no secret Barrie is a bit of a drier center because it's higher friction. And the way that they take care of Kennedy, I knew I was going to see probably a little bit more length from my equipment, but they didn't say what the pattern was going to be. So I kind of had to plan ahead. Hey, Billy, thanks for joining us. Jay Bird, I'll get your question in a little bit. So let's actually get to what I brought with me to the tournament. So we've got a Brunswick Lanes and an unknown pattern. So the first thing I did was I packed my fresh bag. So I brought 3 balls because I didn't know if we were going to be on short, medium, or long. I had a feeling we would not see short because short seems kind of it's a lot more skill intensive for an event that's open to, like, it's a handicap event, so it's open to a lot of bowlers. So that seems a little less likely. So I brought my special effect, and you can see all my layouts. I put it for with both PAL and dual angle. And I brought my standard fresh bag. So I've got my special effect, which is for my long patterns. It has a little bit of shine on it still from out of box. But I have pretty much a standard layout I want. So the ball isn't really going to jump really quickly when it sees friction. I want to be able to put a lot of surface on it, or at least maximize the surface that it has. So special effect was perfect. 70 by 4.5 by 45, 4.5 by 5.5 by 2.5 PAL. Next, I brought my purple hammer because if you're going to a tournament, you don't have a purple hammer with you, you are probably giving away pins. As the saying goes, if there's a 3 in the length of the pattern in the first number, you need a purple hammer. And the last ball I brought with me was my zigzag. You'll notice some pretty wacky numbers on that. 60 by 2.5 by 70, 2.5 by 5.25 by 1.5 PAL. That is my short pin. That is my ball that's going to hook similar to my purple hammer, but it's going to not cause the urethane carry down. I also find that it's actually a bit less overall than my purple hammer. For me, most of the time, my purple hammer is too much ball, and the zigzag is what I play at home. So it's kind of my comfort ball. Jaybird, that's cool. I have a ton of questions to ask. Oh yeah, we'll answer everything once we get through this stuff. Do you recommend first squad or second squad? Well, see, that's a great question. I had planned on first squad simply because I knew there was going to be no re-oil in between. I wanted fresh oil. As I said, where I bowl, there is lots of friction. So I wanted to be able to have a little bit more oil because of my slower speed and my higher rev rate. I felt like my game plays to medium to longer oil better. So first squad, I want fresh oil. Now, here's the other side of things too. Second squad, those scores tend to be a little bit higher depending on the lane condition. If you get a medium or a long pattern, especially a long one, and there's a second squad with no re-oil, that second squad will tend to have the higher scores because there's already defined friction for players to play to. So they're kind of grooved in, that old saying, like they're grooved to the pocket. Yeah, they've already been pre-warmed up for you. All you got to do is just throw it to the friction. So next, after my fresh bag, I wanted to bring my long bag. So this is for in case the pattern was going to be like 40 feet to 45 feet. Being that it was going to have a lot of games bowled on it with a first and second squad, I had a pretty good idea that there was going to be more oil than less, volume-wise, but I also felt like it was going to be longer, so it would hang around a little bit longer. As I said, we don't get to see the lane pattern. We don't actually know what the pattern was. So for the long oil, I have my torpedo. So not the direct hit, but the regular torpedo. That is for early. If I knew I had a defined friction point, I could throw it to. Didn't end up actually throwing it that much. Once we got into practice, and I'll go a little bit more into it, but once I got into practice, I didn't really need it. So I didn't throw a lot, but I had it there in case I needed it. Dark Side. Dark Side is my late hook ball. It is something that matches up with my fresh balls if I need something that's going to have a little bit more distance after I get out of my fresh ball, but I'm still not ready to get into something that's going to be like a burn ball, or I'm not going to go really far left and try to swing the lane a lot. I just want to kind of stay in the same area. So this is the one I threw the 300 with on our video. If you haven't seen it yet, please check it out. Dark Side brings cookies, also brings 300 games. It's an 8-minute 300, which is I think pretty impressive. Hey, what's up, friend? Lastly on here, you can see I've got my burn ball, the Tundra Fire. If you've talked to me about building a arsenal, I have probably mentioned this ball to you. This ball is one of my favorite balls from track. High RG, something that will get down lane, and like my Synergy, just a Pearl version of it. That kind of idea. Lots of length. It's not going to spin up very early. It's something that I can really plan on using if the lanes are completely blown up, like really burnt out. And you can see it's a pretty funky layout on it. I don't want that ball to really hook. I don't want that core to help that ball at all. Lastly, I packed my medium bag. And this is my mantra. This is my mantra. My Deviate mantra, which is basically, if you look at my long bag here, it's in the same place as my torpedo. So it's basically almost the same reaction, just a little bit less of it. On the long patterns, you tend to stay closer to the head pin. You don't throw it away from the head pin as much. The medium pattern, you can hook it a little bit more. I don't need a lot of help hooking it. So we got a little bit of a weaker ball. And then there's the torpedo direct hit. That ball, you had asked Donald what I thought of that ball. Home run. I have a case. I've sold them. I threw it in this tournament. This ball is a home run from Brunswick, or from Radical, the brands of Brunswick. It's so controllable for me, especially on high friction lanes at home. Something that I can go to and I can throw it away from me and it'll hook if there's friction, or I can kind of line up and keep it straighter because of the big core in it. It'll still get through the pins for me. And then my spare ball is, it's like a 1989, actually it is a 1989, Baltimore Plant Blue Hammer Original. So I didn't know what I was going to be bowling on. I had an idea of reactions that I had. I have equipment with me. So we go down to bowl. I was actually really lucky. Everybody I bowled with on my pair was fantastic. Got to bowl with somebody I bowled with a few times, James Koo, who is a local to that center. Once again, fantastic bowler, fantastic athlete, and great to bowl with because he's one of those guys who, even when he's angry, doesn't really drag you down or anything. And I didn't see him get angry. When he's up, he gets everybody else up. So it's nice to bowl with people like that. They keep your energy up without kind of draining you. So we got into practice, and I grabbed my stuff out of my fresh bag. And the first thing I did is I threw my zigzag. That's my one that I tend to throw most at home. It's the one that I know the reaction of the most. And when I threw it from my regular spot and I picked off a 10-pin clean, I knew there was a little bit of oil out there. So right away, next shot, I went and grabbed my special effect, moved in a little bit, decided to keep it a little bit more in front of me, threw it, struck, spare. And then through most of the rest of practice, I threw my special effect. Now, I did throw my torpedo a couple of times just to see how it looked, and there wasn't really a good defined friction point for me to take advantage of. The ball, because it's a really clean ball, it went so far down, it just wasn't quite getting to the pocket. So for me, the choice of the special effect just seemed to be the best choice. It allowed me room to miss a little bit to the right, and it wouldn't overhook. That's because I've used a little bit less val angle in it, so it's not gonna see friction and snap. But I used a fairly strong layout on it, so it is still gonna hook. I'm going to bowl my first tournament in July. What mental preparation did you do? Great question. We're gonna get to that in game one. I'm sorry if I'm dragging this out. I do apologize. Um, so I picked up my special effect. I had already tested my torpedo. I even tried my mantra, but and my purple hammer. The special effect just looked the best. Now I talked a little bit about, well, in the header it says mental preparation, and Jaybird's asking about it. This was a different mental prep for me this time. I have bowled tons of tournaments. I've bowled on the PBA, I've bowled in house tournaments, and I have been in the past a ruthless scoreboard watcher. I watch my scores, I watch the scores on my lane, I watch everybody else's scores, I watch the scoreboard. I'm a scoreboard watcher. And with that comes a lot of anxiety. It can cause you to become frustrated quickly if say you don't feel like you're striking fast enough, or you're not bowling well enough. This tournament I went in with a different mindset. As I had said, because I haven't bowled a lot of tournaments lately, especially since my move to two-handed, I decided to go in with the goal of just trying to stay clean. And it sounds weird. We always try to stay clean, but it was a different focus this time. This is the way I break it down. Usually when I go in, I will take a look and, I'll throw 2 or 3 in a row. I'll check what my score is. I'll see what frame I'm in. I'll make my adjustments. I'll think about a lot of things. This time I simplified it. I got down, I figured out who I was bowling at after. I figured out what lane I started on. And then all I did was focus on the frame I was in. So I would get up before I stepped on the lane as I'm cleaning my ball off, part of my pre-shot routine. And I was thinking to myself, okay, what do I have to do here? What am I looking at? Where am I throwing it to? Just reminding myself of what I'm doing that way. I'm not looking at the score. I'm not really looking at what the other lanes are doing other than for courtesy. I'm making my decisions. As soon as I crossed that line onto the approach, the only thing I thought about was executing. Chuck Gardner once told me at the Masters, the only thing you have to do is throw 8 good shots. Whether you strike, whether you spare, whether you open. In a tournament, if you can throw 8 good shots, you are more than likely going to make some money. Chuck Gardner can say that to me. Nobody. That's what I'm going to do. So for this tournament, my goal was 8 good shots a game. So I would get up, make my decisions, get up on the approach, all right, I'm going to make a good shot here. And I didn't say, I want to make a good shot. I told myself, I'm going to make a good shot. It's weird, but those little self-affirmations, they really make a big difference. Because they're not allowing your brain to have those bad thoughts creep in. Now, here's a little bit of mental mumbo-jumbo for you. As animals, we have the flight or fight reaction in our bodies. We're either going to fight for our lives or we're going to flee. Anytime that we are put under pressure, the fight or flight reflex kicks in. Well, if you can keep yourself from having to make a fight or flight decision and stay relaxed, it's a lot easier to bowl. Trying to think of the best way to put this. Whether you can or whether you can't, you're right. If you decide that you can't win, If you decide that you can't throw a good shot, if you decide that you're not going to throw a good shot, you will not throw a good shot. As animals with that fight or flight reflex, um, it is natural for you to have those bad thoughts, and you have to accept them. We talked about this on um, other podcasts. It's okay. You can accept them, let them pass. Say, you know what? I'm anxious. I'm having a fight or flight reflex. That's what's going on. Okay, well, let it pass. We still got to do what we're gonna do. And by doing that, and then just focusing on frame by frame, just one frame, not score, weird things started happening. So my first frame, I struck. Second frame, I left a 7 count. And I got a little bit of anxiety. I said, no, it's okay. Spares are easy. Just make a spare. Got up, made a spare. It's like, oh, that's easy. Got it from my next shot. Concentrated just on that frame. Threw my shot, struck. Got up on the next frame, on next lane. Left a 10 pin. So now my brain's going, okay, is there a difference between the lanes? So I made notes so I could only focus on that frame. Got out my little notebook, which I happen to keep on my phone, and wrote right lane, one board less hook than left lane. Got the left lane, struck. Got back to the right lane, looked at my note, made a one board move, I struck. So I finished game 1 at 203. Not a huge score, but remember, this is a handicap tournament. And because I am still new to two-handed bowling, and my average is not in the 230s like it was, or 220s when I was one-handed, 200 games really good. Now, here's the funny thing. I stopped thinking about handicap. I stopped thinking about what happens if I throw a bad shot. I stopped thinking about who I'm bowling against. And I just concentrated on throwing 8 good shots. So we go to the next pair. And this house has 2 sides to it. The high side hooks a little bit less, in my opinion, than the low side. Low side really hooks. We made the turn. I look at my notes because I know that one side hooks more or less than another. And if you don't know this about a place, you can ask the pro shop guy, especially if you're buying something like tape or something that's a high margin, low cost item. They will freely share with you all the intricacies of their bowling center. Pro shop guys love to talk, and they will share all that kind of stuff. So knowing that the one side hooks more than the other, going to the low side, I thought to myself, if my special effect is good, I wonder what my zigzag's going to look like, because I don't want my special effect to start overhooking. They're still fresh on the other side. Got out my zigzag, started bowling. Just concentrating on what's going on in this frame. Didn't bowl a huge game, 197. Not monstrous, but I got a handicap. And I got oil, and I'm making good ball decisions. Early on, when they're still fresh, I'm using smoother equipment to control the hook and to create friction. So for those of you like Jaybird who's going to a tournament, earlier you want your smoother stuff. That's why our benchmark ball is a solid. We want the smoother stuff to create friction, to pile the surface on, and to control the lane. Once you get on the lane, the pattern is its freshest. So if there's a lot of hook down lane, the smooth ball isn't going to hook as much. That's why we use urethane. Urethane is not for less oil. It's for controlling the amount of hook down lane. It's actually quite a ball that hooks quite a lot. So I got through game 2, like I said, 197. missed a couple of spares. I was noticing that the left side of the lane hooked way more than the right side of the lane. So the spares, that if I missed a spare, I was missing it on the left side. Everything on the right side was fine. Go to my next pair, which is on the high hooking side. And this is when we started a little bit of experimentation. I threw my zigzag, and it was close to the pocket, but a couple of 10 pins right off the bat, and the ball really not getting through the pocket very well kind of told me that we needed something that had a little bit more motion down lane. I didn't want to go with too much motion because I wanted to stay in the area that I was in, but I just needed a little bit more length, a little bit more snap. That's what a late hook ball is for. So I made the move to the dark side, literally, and started throwing the dark side. And I was basically able to stay in the same spot. Now, one of the weird things about my game, if you've watched my roll, I have a very... I hate to use the term voodoo roll, because that's associated with Brad, Angelo, and them. But I have a very low tilt end over end roll, which as a one-hander tended to cause me lots of problems and make the ball very smooth. As a two-hander, however, because my rev rate goes so much higher and my physical ability to throw the ball away from me became easier, I could actually open the lanes up a little bit. This dark side has been really, really good for me. So as the zigzag got earlier and smoother and not quite getting through the pins, you get the flat tens, the dark side just has more continuation through the pins because it has a little bit faster response to friction. So I stayed in the dark side for a game, 196. Now, I had been watching somewhat some of the scoring pace around me. While I didn't want to look at actual scores, I've been watching to see if bowlers were striking a lot. And I noticed through my first 3 games that there weren't a lot of bowlers who seemed to be striking, which meant the scoring pace was going to be lower. I didn't have to make a lot of fast changes. I wasn't going to have to strike a lot. It was going to be about controlling the pocket and making my spares, staying clean. Also, at this point, I thought that my handicap was 20 pins a game. That's going to be very important. So I go on to game 4. The lanes are starting to get a little bit burnt up. Just where I am. Because of my style of game, I'm able to play a different part of the lane than everybody else. Where everyone else was playing more down like 10 to 13 with a little bit of belly into the pocket, trying to keep it along the oil line, I was throwing it to the oil line and just tipping it into the pocket. It's one of Scoop's favorite games, called the tip shot, where I'm just trying to just get it past the pocket and let it roll back through. I'm using a lower angle of entry, but I'm not throwing the ball as far away from me, which means less splits. Hopefully, as long as I'm not going through the nose. So game 4, I'm still throwing the dark side, and it is starting to also become too strong. It's getting down lane, but when it's making its move, it's just never stopping, and it's just hooking like hard. It took me a couple of extra frames to make the move, but I did make the move to the Tundra, realizing that my area I was throwing it to was pretty burnt out. And I was able to end with a 193. Not spectacular scores. Like, I'm not saying I shot the lights out. But when I calculated my score, I looked at everything and I'm like, oh, I'm at like 870 something or 880 something. No way I'm going to make the tournament with that. So I started packing my stuff up and started making plans to take it out to the car. What I didn't realize is I was getting 30 pins of handicap. 30. So I suddenly had a 920 for my 4-game series. Well, that put me into the top 10 for the first squad. With a 1 in 5 cash, and they're expecting 150 players, that means 30 bowlers of the 150 are going to make match play. A couple things start going through my mind. First, I didn't realize there was match play. I thought it was just a 4-game tournament, which is what I'd prepared myself for. Second, I was in a decent place. At 10th place with the scores the way they were, I had a feeling that the scoring pace was going to go up. And it's usually about a 60-40 to a 65-35 split, A squad to B squad, if there's no re-oil, with B squad sending more bowlers. As we said, the lanes are pre-groove for you, so the scores are going to be much higher. They were. We'll get to that. I want to give a big shout out right now to Mrs. Bearded Beast, Sarah. Sarah came down to the tournament with me, and she let me bowl, do my thing. And when it was time, when we found out that I had to come back and bowl match play, she kept me going. Often, bowlers, if they have a match play situation here, they will sit down, lay down, go get a big meal, relax. I've done that in the past. And with my health, with my look, I'm 47. I'm old, okay? My body doesn't respond well to long periods of activity. And she kept me going. We went and got a decently light meal, went to Subway, eat flesh. It wasn't anything super heavy, nothing greasy, some carbs, some protein to keep my body fueled. And then we went for a walk. We walked around the block. We actually did about a 2-kilometer walk. Not anything fast, nice and just leisurely. Kept my body moving, kept my legs moving, kept my arms moving. The last tournament that I bowled that I qualified for match play for was back, I'm going to say probably 2019, 2020. I averaged 240 and qualified third and came back for match play and couldn't shoot 150 because my body locked up. Because it was like 4 hours later. And I ate a big meal. And I did all the bad things. All the bad things. This time, Mrs. Beast, she kicked ass. Oh, can I say that? She kept me moving. She kept me hydrated. And she didn't let me think about things. Lots of times people fixate on, oh my goodness, I gotta bowl well, I gotta bowl well, I gotta bowl well. This mindset of just fill the frame, nothing else, just fill the frame, was so much easier. So much easier. When I got done my tournament after bowling 4 games, my brain wasn't tired. Usually after bowling 4 games, after making decisions on equipment, making decisions on where I'm going to line up, how I'm going to throw, doing all this stuff, I have worn myself out. I feel physically and mentally tired. I was done and I was fresh. I was happy. I was good to go. So, on to match play. Round 1 of match play, I played Justin VH. And I'm going to be 100% honest here. He should have beat me. Without a doubt, he should have beat me. We went into the 10th frame. He was on a double. And I'm not sure if his friends got on him or if he got on himself. But something happened. He threw it in the gutter. And he ended up with a 215. I was able to... 211. I was able to get up in the 10th frame and bury the first two and won 215 to 211. I felt bad. I felt really bad because I have been there. I have been there where my brain has gotten in the way of my bowling. Scoops has been there. I have been at a tournament where Scoops came over to me and took me aside and said, "How do I bowl? I don't remember how to bowl." I have gone to a tournament where I forgot how many steps I took. I couldn't remember if I was 3, 4, or 5 steps. Like, I just could not. It's about that not mental hardness, but just if you tire your brain out mentally, like if you are mentally drained, sometimes bad things can happen. And I felt really bad because Justin should have won. But I'm going to take a win. A win is a win, which had me moving on. For that game, they moved us back over to the non-hooking side, to the high side again. I actually took out my zigzag and was able to play there and play just about the same place I had played when I started with the special effect. So I know they'd been broken down a little bit. But in practice, before we started bowling, I had noticed that the special effect was about 3 or 4 feet earlier than it had been when we had started bowling the tournament. So the zigzag seemed like the right choice. The next round, I took on Alex C. Once again, another squeaker. They moved us over to the low end of the high side. Still a heavy hooking side there. Managed to squeak that one out, 202-198. Still in the zigzag, but I did notice it was getting a little bit early. And this is something that when you're watching as you're bowling in a tournament, this is going to be different from when you're bowling on a house pattern, because it's going to become more evident. As your ball starts to come hook earlier and earlier, it's going to look like it's hooking more and more. I didn't want the ball to be more angular, so I didn't want to go to something that was going to be cleaner. I just wanted something that was going to be smooth. That's why I went from my special effect to my zigzag, rather than going to something like my direct hit or my dark side. There was enough oil on the side that wasn't hooking that I could still stay in a stronger ball, and I wanted to keep it smooth. Once again, this comes back to that mindset that I had. I noticed that the scores after my first game weren't high for match play. So my goal wasn't to strike a whole bunch. My goal was to keep clean. Just keep my frames clean. And that's what I did. I just tried to keep clean. In that game, I had one open, and it was a 7-pin. Left side's really hooking. We talked about that before. Alex was probably the tallest dude I have ever met outside of WWE/AEW. He had to be like 6'9" or 6'10", and had the most amazing braids and threw the ball a million miles an hour. And I was really happy to sneak that one out. I got to be honest with you. I was really happy to sneak that one out. Because I found out after I'd bowled him, he had been one of the leaders on the second shift. So I know he had bowled really well. Once again, all I had to do was stay clean because I had a little bit of handicap. And you can see from the scores, even just staying clean is good enough to win at this point. So the next game, I bowled Shauna. And this was a barn burner. Right off the bat, I struck, she doubled. I had a 3-bagger, she had a 4-bagger. This was a war. We had moved to the more hooking side, though. So in practice, I had thrown my regular torpedo, and I threw the mantra, and they were just literally getting halfway down the lane and just turning sideways. Like 7 pins, I could not keep it on the lane. Well, if I look at my A fresh bag, nothing on there is going to help me because even my zigzag was hooking. If I look at my medium bag, Mantra's hooking. Even my dark side's hooking. Throw my Tundra. Even my Tundra is hooking. Torpedo direct hit. The ball is bonkers. Phyllis said it. They make balls with purpose. They fill holes in the industry. They answer questions. The direct hit gave me a reaction that I didn't have out of any other ball I had. If I didn't have the direct hit, I would not have won this match. Flat out. I won this match 245-240. All torpedo. The ball just floated down lane. It just got through the front part of the lane so easy. And had so much traction through the pins. High hit, weak hit, it just carried everything. Ball was fantastic. On to the semifinals. Guess who I'm bowling? Mr. James Koo. As I said, I love bowling him. Even head to head, we're bowling like I don't expect him to be friendly. When you're bowling somebody head to head, it's kill or be killed. It's win or go home. He's still such a nice guy. And that's not a detriment to him. James Koo is the kind of bowler we need more of. He's an awesome guy. This was another barn burner. Once again, into the torpedo. This time we flipped back around to the non-hooking side. But by that time, they are really starting to hook on that side too. So I was able to use the direct hit for a second straight game playing in the exact same place. And I am not going to lie. I had 2 strikes I had no business carrying. Probably the 2 worst shots I threw all day. But they carried. Ended up taking down James 275-229. Which meant on to the finals. Now I bowled Todd Squire, and I've bowled with Todd a few times at a few events. Super nice guy. Once again, the kind of bowlers we need in bowling. Very, very nice. We got everything set up, got started bowling, and then he turns to me and goes, "Wait, you're not getting handicap, are you?" And I said, oh yeah, I'm getting 30 pins. And he's just like, "But you're like a 220 average bowler." I'm like, "No, not anymore." Oh, 2 hands. So, already, not intentionally, but already, a little bit upstairs, Todd's got that handicap in his brain before we start bowling. So while I'm just thinking about filling frames and trying to stay clean, other people are worried about other things. Now, this was a tight match. And I've shared it on my Facebook. If you have me on Facebook, you'll be able to see it there. I've also shared it on the lane side page. It's worth watching. Just squeaking it out, 228-199. Honestly, the last 2 frames, they're on camera, but I was just so smiley and happy, I don't really remember them. I think I started with the torpedo. No, I started with the zigzag and moved into the torpedo for the end because we went onto the side that was really hooking, and I was hoping that the short pin, if I tried to hook the lane with it, would allow me to control the amount of hook on the lane. And it just hooked so much. I had to go to the torpedo, and even that really hooked a lot. I mean, if you watch my last shot, I couldn't throw it out any farther. I just grabbed, went through the nose. I think I got a 7 count, but I won. That's all that mattered. But let's talk about, I won an event. 9 rounds that I wasn't expecting to bowl. I hurt the next day, but I was so excited and so happy. That mindset of just looking at the frame, not worrying about everything else, just looking at the frame, is something that we teach our national players. It's something that the PBA pros talk about. Um, it's about looking at the small, what you're doing right now, focusing on the now rather than that big picture, allowing yourself to get distracted. By doing that, I was able to remove any kind of distraction that could have messed me up. We had a time where our lane went down. Whatever, didn't bother me. I didn't bowl for a few minutes. I wasn't worried. I wasn't, you know, I wasn't beating myself up or trying to overanalyze. I was just dealing with what I had in front of me. And it freed my brain up so much. Um, Not only could I enjoy the event more, but I actually think I made better choices. When I look at my first few games, I wanted to stay in my fresh bag because it's all things that are smoother, things that are controllable. When I started to have to hook the ball and move left, lateral for me because I'm a righty, I started looking at things like my torpedo, my dark side, things that I could open the lane up with that could create distance but still get through, not overhook through the pocket. There's a point at which I could have gotten out the torpedo and thrown it, but I don't think I would have scored as well. I think I would have had more chances at leaving splits and harder to make spares if I had moved to my torpedo rather than moving to my dark side, because they have different motions being symmetric and asymmetric. Now, Jaybird, you had asked what type of equipment do you normally throw, asymmetric or symmetric? I throw a mix. When I set up my bag, I set up my bag based on, and we go through this in the book, based on the pattern length I'm going to be on, either short, medium, or long. Since I didn't know the pattern, I brought equipment that I could throw on just about everything. I feel like the 9 balls that I brought, so the 2 for medium oil, my spare ball, the 2 for long oil, my burn ball, and my 3 fresh balls, I don't think I could have made a better choice with the equipment that I brought with me. I don't think that there was a better ball that I could have brought because it wasn't about the equipment. It was about just trying to make 8 good shots and fill frames. The equipment was just there to put me in the ballpark, either being smooth and controllable, or stronger for heavier oil, or weaker for light oil, or very weak for no oil. I This was a very good event for me, especially only being the 3rd event back after making this change. This event inspired me to go bowl more events, because this is the first time I finished bowling an event and I didn't need to sleep or cry or punch something or anything like that. I just enjoyed the event. I bowled well, but I think even if I had bowled poorly and only bowled the 4 games that I had expected to bowl, I still think I would have had a much better time because I wasn't putting so much pressure on myself. I just went to make shots. I know how to throw the bowling ball, so I just threw the bowling ball and dealt with whatever was left. I made the decision to not risk splits because the scoring pace on my squad was lower, so I didn't have to make fast decisions and string a lot of strikes. I just tried to fill frames. And I think that gets lost a lot, even in league play. Um, there is a game that Rick Benoit came up with, and I hate giving those guys credit, but called fill frames, or fill the frame, or fill the game, or something like that, where it's basically an endless game. You get 5 frames, and then if you open twice, you don't close a frame with either a spare or strike, that's the end of your score. And it just keeps going forever. You can keep going until you open twice. I think my score I've had, the highest score I've had so far, I think was 12, either 1238 or 1241. But it's the same mindset. It's just, don't worry about the score. If you fill 10 frames with spares and ace strike, you're going to shoot 200. And that's all I tried to do for the entire tournament, was just shoot 200. Just fill frames. When you look at international play, we have a lot of athletes who go internationally, and they bowl on some of the toughest lanes that you will ever see. You think your home center has high friction. Just wait until you're in Guatemala or Peru or Brazil, where the lanes literally have bowed from seawater, and you're on a short pattern and trying to play the gutter, but the gutter literally has a tilt to it. You know, there's some of the toughest lanes in the world, and that's all our athletes try to do. Just fill frames. Because if you fill frames, your score is there. You don't have to shoot 279 every game. We're not the Pro Tour. Even those guys don't shoot 279 every game. Just watch some of the TV shows. It's just filling frames. And it sounds so simple. But people don't think about it. You know, I want to shoot well. All you got to do is fill your frames. Oh, well, I got to shoot spares. I don't know if I can do it if I shoot spares. Spares are free pins. Anytime I coach somebody who's under 200 average, including myself, number one thing I say, the easiest way to raise your average, make your spares. If you don't miss any spares for an entire night, you're almost guaranteed to be averaging between 190 and 210. That's just how it works. But that was my tournament experience. I want to send a huge shout out to I Am Bowling and Brunswick, Turbo Grips, as well as Tyler and the whole staff who put on the event. Like I said, just phenomenal events. If you have a chance to bowl in one of the events in Ontario that they've run, which I highly recommend, if you're in like Buffalo or that area and you're going to want to hop the border, we'll gladly take your money, especially if I'm bowling. But come bowl one of their events. They are just spectacular events. I want to thank Kennedy Bowl. As I said, they put out great lanes. They maintain them so well. And every year they put on these events. They are a house about bowlers. Even their pro shop, their 900 pro shop. Sly and the guys there, they are about the bowlers. So if you're local to them, I would check them out. So Jaybird, so how many balls should I prepare for a tournament? Bowling is expensive. Okay, that's a great question. If this is your very first tournament, how many bowling balls do you have? I always say, if you're going to a tournament, you should probably have at least 3. If you're going to a serious tournament. If you're a new bowler, if you haven't been bowling more than 1 or 2 years, 1 ball is fine. Even 2, a strike ball and a spare ball. That's totally fine. An arsenal would start at 3 balls. 1 asymmetric, 1 symmetric, 1 spare ball. For a tournament that you don't know what the lane pattern is, as you become more and more experienced, you can see I brought 9. If I had a restriction, I could have brought 6. I wouldn't bring more than 9. I have, even in the book, we say that a full arsenal to cover every lane condition is 12 balls. And at least 3 of those you don't need to carry. Because if you know what the pattern is, like if it's a long pattern, you don't need your stuff for short. If it's a short pattern, you're not going to need your stuff for long. You have other stuff. Yeah, I did have some discomfort. So back in the Masters, when I bowled, I actually broke and dislocated a rib on this side, and it knocked me out of the Masters. I finished my shift and then drove home with broken ribs from Rochester all the way to Canada. It was like about a 4 or 5 hour drive. And it has never gotten better, unfortunately. When you break cartilage, especially when you literally detach cartilage, um, it just never seems to heal right. One of the shots I threw, I think it was the spare shot. I pulled right here, and it took a couple shots for it to get numb, get the adrenaline and the all the stuff into it to get it to kind of not hurt anymore, and then I was okay. Like I said, the last Saturday, Sunday after the tournament, I think I pretty much did nothing. Having not bowled a tournament in a few years, it it kicked my butt. Um, Even being, with food, with water, with keeping moving, with a impact gun to keep my muscles going, with a roller to roll my muscles out. Eventually, I ran out of gas. But it has inspired me to get back into the gym. It's been a while since, it's probably been about 2 years um, when I hurt myself, when I stopped working out. I have a full gym, like a gym quality gym at home, and I haven't been able to use it since I got hurt. And this kind of inspired me to get back into working out and trying to get some of my strength back. I bought a bass guitar because I've talked about the nerve damage that I have in my hand, and I'm trying to use it to retrain my hand to get some strength back in it and to be able to use my fingers better. Um, so, but yeah, I did have some discomfort. Still have some discomfort. It's never going away. But that's the price you pay when you want to roll to the top. So how many ball? No, it's a USB-C tournament, and they said it's a challenge pattern. I've only bowled on house, never touched a challenge pattern or sport pattern. Okay. Well, how many bowling balls do you have? That would be the question. I would definitely take a couple of different ones and bring some surface pads with you. You know what actually might be better for you, since you've never bowled a tournament like this? I'd bring a couple of different balls with you, especially one that is your favorite ball, the one that you're most comfortable with, the one the one that you know that you can just throw no matter what. And then bring, another one that maybe has a different motion. Like if that one's a symmetric, bring an asymmetric and a spare ball. I think you'll have a great time. Most USB-C tournaments are pretty good. If it's like the actual USB-Cs, you'll have a blast. We did one of those. I think it was in Syracuse a few years ago, and that was so much fun. I bowled terribly, so bad. It was the first time I had been to the USB-Cs, so. But it was so much fun because there was other people there. There were pros. There were. If that's the one you're going to, it was a lot of fun. So, and if it's not, just go and have fun at your tournament. Just remember, take the mindset, fill frames, try to make your spares. Don't worry about if somebody's throwing 10 or 12 or however many strikes. You can do you. Throw your best. Is the spare ball a nail? Nope, no, that's my blue. That is my original 1989 Baltimore plant Faball blue hammer. Tim Mack was my inspiration for getting back on the lanes after knee injury. Yeah, Timmy Mack, that dude is very inspiring. Everything that he has been through with his multiple surgeries is insane. I have 5 14-pound balls, but I'm moving up to 15, and I only have 3 of those so far. Well, choose the ones. I would definitely choose the ones that you're most comfortable with. If depending on how many you want to take, at least, like I said, take a couple of different motions, maybe a solid and a pearl, an asym and a symmetrical. Excuse me. And yeah, just try to fill frames. I bowled terrible at last year's Lucky Larson. Severe pain in both knees. It is so hard to bowl when your knees aren't under you. I have had 8 knee surgeries between my 2 legs. Um, I knock on. I don't know if you can hear that. Knock on wood. Um, I have always tried to take care of my knees after hurting them and kept them very strong because it is almost impossible. I've hurt my back and kept bowling. When your legs go out from under you, that's just it. That's just it. I bowl. So I skipped the re-entries. Yeah, good plan. Good plan. Now I'd considered bowling a tournament this weekend. There is a players tour in Oshawa. They had a 41-foot pattern coming out, so kind of a medium pattern. But I think I'm not going to press my luck this week. I'm still recovering, and I think I have a little bit of conditioning to do first before I go for another long tournament intentionally. And I know that the Players Tour is going to be at least 5 games, and if I qualify, there would be match play. So that'd be another 5 to 6 games. So I think it would probably be better for me to space out my events. But this does give me an idea. Maybe I should be putting an event on my calendar and sharing some training and getting ready for it. We can talk about patterns, we can talk about exercise and food, and because people don't realize, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Vegas or Reno, or places with lots of casinos, but the food that they offer you isn't very good for bowlers. And people eat a lot of the food that makes it much more difficult for them to have a good time bowling. I did it when I was at the World Series in 2013. They had this killer buffet at South Point. It was $3.99 lunch, $5.99 dinner, and they had tomahawk ribs and steak. And I ate myself so fat the first day and couldn't get my thumb in the ball the next day. Realized that I needed to eat more watery fruits like watermelons and strawberries and stuff so that my body wouldn't retain so much water and my thumb would fit in the ball. That's for another discussion. Boy, Billy M. I recently made the switch to two-handed. I watched your video on how to increase ball speed as a two-hander. Helped me work on using my legs more. Nice. Yep. Bowling is such a weird sport. For a game where its object is to hurl a heavy object as fast as you can at other objects, you'd think it would use your arms more. But the more that you use your legs, the more that you can drive into your release, the more that you can, really increase your ball speed. 13 to 15 is a huge jump. That's amazing. I know even for myself, this weekend they had lane tracking up there. I was able to get a couple of shots up to 17 miles an hour this weekend. Almost killed myself doing it, but I got some up to 17 miles an hour. But no, that's huge. That's congratulations on that. From 13 to 15 is a monster jump. Anything more than a mile an hour at the time is really, really good. So we've been on here for about an hour and 15 minutes. I can't believe it. I can't believe you guys let me talk for that long. Holy moly. So I wanted to throw it over to you guys. See if there's anything you guys want to talk about. We'll take about 15 minutes. We'll wrap it up around 8:30. And see if you guys have any other questions. We can talk about new releases. We can talk about what like the stuff I talked about today. We can talk about whatever you like. This show's about you. So just throw those questions into the text box down the side there. And if you're watching this show afterwards and you have some questions, don't forget to throw them in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you'll see these shows whenever they come out. We don't do these as regularly as I would like to, but I have, unfortunately, with our national team sending players to youth nationals and senior nationals and adult nationals and all the things going on, this is becoming a bit of a busy season for me, so I'm going to try to squeeze in as many of these as possible. Let's see here. Hoping to bowl the U.S. Open next year, or maybe some regionals. I had hoped to bowl some regionals after going two-handed. We'll see. I have a lot of respect for anybody who can go out there and do it, especially once we start getting older. When I was 30 something and went to the Pro Tour, I could bowl 20 games a day and wake up and skip and jump out of bed the next day. 9 games and I could barely move the next day. I don't know if I could do a 2-day regional. Maybe if they had one of those 1-day regionals, like the non-winners. Got to get in shape for the PBA 50. Yeah, you got 5 years to do it. Power to you. I don't know if I could do it. Honestly, I've been out there, and after working with the players that are out there now, there's some really good players out there. And I just don't know. I don't know if this old hack would wanna hang out there anymore. I need to determine which layouts work best for me. My PAP is 6 over and an 8th down, with a rev rate around 386. Well, your PAP and my PAP are pretty close. Billy, mine is 6 over and 1/4 negative. So what I might suggest, if you look at some of the videos that we've done, if you like the motion that you see that I'm getting out of one of the balls that I've done, I always list my dual angle and my PAL Plus numbers. Try out some of my layouts. They are the ones that we use from the book, and it just would honestly depend on your tilt and your rotation if I would change them much. Just because, yeah, I don't see them listed here, but I might try a few of the ones that you've seen me throw, being our PAPs are so similar. You will probably get, what's your speed? If your speed's around mine, you'll just get a little bit less reaction down lane. Okay, so you have more tilt. You have quite a bit of tilt for a two-hander. So what I would say is, if you like a layout that I have, go with a slightly longer pin. So like anywhere from 4.5 to 5, even maybe 5.25 inches. No more than that though. When you start getting over 5 inches on two-handed balls, it can create some weird dynamics because there is no thumb hole. And they can become really over-under, or in some cases, they can flare backwards. There's some really weird things that happens after 5 inches with two-handers. No, can't say that. That's what nobody said. Yeah, but your rotation is good, and you got high axis tilt. Just, yeah, try to stick towards 4.5 to 5 inch pin to paps, and I think you'll be really happy, especially on anything that is like a torpedo, anything that's going to be pearl that's going to have some friction, something like that. Like if you went 5 by 5.5 by 3.5, that would be pretty decent. You can also use, if you're unsure, you can check out the Deviate two-handed resources. Now they are different from what's in my book. They're calculated slightly differently. But use what you like the most. My dark side, I laid out with the help of the two-handed utilities on Deviate site, but then I made a couple of small changes just to lock it into my game. So there's a few different resources for you. But yeah, definitely the longer pin to paps. In your opinion, with the B7 balls, prices rise with the tariffs? We covered it a little bit at the beginning. I think, I know in Canada we've already seen about a 25% raise in equipment. But it'll be interesting to see if it lasts. As I said prior, there are board game companies, board game manufacturers have a class action lawsuit out right now because they ordered things prior to the tariffs and weren't given enough time to deliver on previous orders prior to tariffs, and they're actually suing the government. Um, so we may see that. I know there have been other sports and sports apparel companies that are starting to jump on that as well, simply because it can take anywhere from 6 to 18 months from things to arrive from China once they're ordered. So giving 1 or 2 months isn't enough for them. And if they're suddenly getting a bill for 120, 150, 180% of the original order that they now have to pay out on top of what they've already paid, it can be difficult. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But as of right now, absolutely, we're seeing a difference. Um, in Canada, I was actually just pricing out some equipment for some people. I noticed right off the bat things like T zones. T zones are up $5. Tropical Surge from Storm. Tropical Surge is now $255 drilled. Like it's 100. It's supposed to be a $180 ball. Um, we're seeing some hikes. Andy, RJ is one cool dude. Yeah, I can't argue with that. I think Andy's got great taste. My mom says I'm cool. Any other questions or anything out there? We still got about 10 minutes left. Um, one thing I didn't talk about during the tournament, while I'm waiting for some stuff to come in here, I didn't talk about is staying hydrated. We will often drink sugary drinks, pops, coffees, even beers while competing. You should take in about 250 milliliters of water per hour minimum while you're competing. Uh, that will relatively keep you from getting dehydrated. I have gotten dehydrated while competing before, and it is no fun. You get shaky. It's hard to think. It's hard to make decisions. It's just no fun. The same thing with being hungry. Having food that is high natural sugar but not sugar. So like dried fruits, bananas, things like that. Things that will keep your sugar up so you have energy, but things that aren't going to cause a sugar crash. Uh, Mrs. Beast, Mrs. Beater Beast took care of me. She got made sure I had water. She made sure I had snacks if I needed them. She made sure I ate properly for my meal. She did a good job, and it makes a monstrous difference. You don't think about it. We're bowlers. People don't often treat bowling as a real athletic endeavor, but slinging a bowling ball for 4, 5, 6, 10 hours and shorts. Of course, she brought me shorts as well. That was very important. Um, Throwing a ball that long takes a lot out of you. It's gonna deplete not only your ready stores of energy, but any deposits of free energy that you have to break down during the day. And your body can only break down so much before it just is not going to be able to do it anymore. So being able to feed it, being able to keep it hydrated will keep you making better decisions during your tournament. Now, Mrs. Beast also said, and shorts. I made the mistake of going to the tournament in pants. Um, the center is underground, and it was raining that day. So luckily, we had shorts in the car, and Mrs. Beast went and got them for me after my first match play round because I was drenched in sweat. Like my pants were, you could wring them out. And being cool and comfortable is just as important as being well hydrated and eating. Um, if you wear clothing that is going to keep you warm all day, be prepared to fry out, especially if it's going to be humid, like a very moist area. Make sure you dress accordingly. Um, For myself, I know my shorts and my pants, house hack. I was lucky enough to meet Colin at Bowl Expo a couple of years ago, and he hooked me up with some stuff. And they are super duper duper light. Like even the pants are like wearing nothing, and the shorts are the same way. Hey Dale, that's right, winner chicken dinner. Thank you so much. All the way from down under. We have plenty of fans all over the world. We've got Australia. I know we've had Finland and Sweden on lately. We got people from all over the place watching this show. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Without you watching, without you asking questions, this would be a really boring show. And I would just be sitting here talking to myself. So it would be very lonely. Yep, Sweden here. Oh, I love having people from around the world. Bowling is one of those weird sports where North America isn't the center of the universe. The people in Sweden and Finland and just the EU, some of the bowlers that they're turning out over there, look at the World Series. Some of the players overseas, I don't know if North America is ready for them because there's some fantastic coaching overseas. You look at Joe Slowinski and what he's done just traveling all over the place. He's worked with a lot of the players, a lot of the Asian Pacific countries. And man, oh man, some good there's some good bowlers out there. Don't tell me to live south of you. My Wednesday League, if I use my Mass Effect tour, it struggles to finish. I bought my Radical Squash and it hooks well. What is the lane telling me? So probably what's happening is that your effect tour is either too smooth or it's hooking too early. A lot of the times when people think that the ball is struggling to finish down lane, it's often because it's hooking at the start of the lane. There's this really cool picture. I'll have to find it and put it up. It's a yin and a yang of lane conditions. If your ball rolls early, if it has lots of friction early, you'll have very little motion late. If your ball has little friction early, you'll have lots of motion late, which is the difference between a squatch and now did you go to your squatch, like the squatch original, the hybrid, or the orange one? Because I'll tell you, there's another reason if you went to the orange one why they hook differently, and that would be, yes, it was struggling to finish because the Effectour has a smaller core than the Squatch. The Squatch had quite a large core in it with quite a lot of differential. So it'll flare more, have more fresh cover, and even though it has friction early, it has more core in it. It's going to create a little bit more motion down lane. So the hybrid, so the first one. So less traction up front. It's getting down lane with more energy and hooking. And you'll be able to tell the difference between these. Okay, so if the ball is going down and snap, where your ball was okay, let's try that again. If it was two solids and it was the solid squatch and the solid effect and you threw it down, the solid squatch hooked more, then I would say it was probably be that the other ball was too weak. Because you're throwing the hybrid and it's going down and it's hooking a lot more, your ball is hooking too early. I hope that made sense. Oh, break TLDR. Your Mass Effect is just hooking too early. I hope that helped. Young guys coming out of Australia, Blake Walsh, Julian. Yeah, there are some really good bowlers. Don't tell them. You should just see the two-handers coming from the EU. You think Jesper's good. Just wait. I'm glad I could help Steve. Sorry if that was a little convoluted at the beginning. But that's a good way. If you're looking at it, that's a good thing to look at the core strength and a difference between covers. If you had thrown, say, the two solids, the solid would have been much earlier and much rounder, as opposed to the hybrid that you had that went down and hooked. So I think we're just about at the end of it, guys. No coaching this week, but if you would like some coaching and you would like to have yourself shown on the show here, send me a video and tell me what you need help coaching with to lanesidereviews@live.com. And you might make the show here. We can give you a little bit of live coaching. Don't forget either a side view or a right behind the back, not some weird 3/4 view that I can't make out. If you like what you see here, don't forget to like and subscribe. And check out all of our videos coming out. Even the old guys, yes. I have put a lot of work in lately, especially into our vocabulary ones. I hope you guys are liking those. Trying to make bowling vocabulary more understandable. We have some more coming up. The ones that I started with were just the grassroots ones, so that we can get into some fun ones like reaction speed. Let me look at my list here. Like reaction speed, what is urethane for, what is angle of entry, what is deflection, and how does it affect your score? All sorts of good... Oh, why bowling balls crack and why some don't. All sorts of good stuff coming. Oh, excuse me. Plus we've got, as I said, more reviews. We've got some more coaching stuff coming up. Is it worth getting a ball that was already been drilled twice? No. Once? Sure. Steve Freshour from Radical actually did a demonstration. He mocked up a ball that had been drilled with a smooth layout and then changed to a high performance layout, and it actually had more performance. So one layout, sure. Two layouts, you don't really have a lot of that original core left. You have no idea what you're going to be bowling on. So I would stick to at least no more than a single drill, because as soon as you drill into it again, that core now has finger holes at different angles. But I think that's going to be it, guys. I appreciate you all coming and hanging out. Once again, I wanted to thank I Am Bowling and Brunswick. Of course, Turbo Grips. They do all of our thumbs, our switch grips, and my finger grips for my two-handed bowling. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you, Andy. Much appreciated. And I really appreciate all of you who watch, all of you who join us here. I hope that you take away something from this that will help you during your bowling. And if nothing else, you know where to come to ask a question so I can help you out later. So until next time, guys, we'll see you laneside. Oh, and nothing fell off the wall! Woo!